Hello and welcome to the Knit Sit Happy podcast. My name is Nancy and I'm coming to you from the east coast of Canada, just outside of Moncton, New Brunswick. Hello, how have you been? It's episode 48, March 31st. March is definitely going out like a lion today. It is snowing, freezing rain. Brad just got home from work and tells me that it is now full-on rain, which is nice because I have errands and things, Monday jobs to do this afternoon. So, cheers. Red wine because the weather is calling for it. I jinxed it. We had false spring maybe 3 weeks ago, and I said out loud, ooh, wouldn't it be great? I'd get the screen room up maybe and get the furniture out. I could sit outside in my screen room just under a blanket even until it warms up. And ever since then, we've had a lot of snow, and then it melts, and then more snow, and then ice, and anyway. Rant about the weather. Actually, the intro will have had some scenery of me driving in these snowy conditions last week. I am drinking today a lovely Bordeaux. Yeah, very nice. And just found a little nugget. That's a little nugget of the Glinda's Potion yarn from Area 51. Get that out of the way. What I am wearing today, I am wearing a cardigan. I really need more cardigans in my knit wardrobe. I just don't gravitate towards knitting them. But this is Rebel. I'm going to donate blood today, so I need something so that my arm is easily accessible. So I just have a t-shirt on underneath my Rebel. I'll put some pictures in here. I will also insert here everywhere that you can find me on the internet. I am Knit Sip Happy everywhere. You can access all of the information down below in the Dropbox down below. I will have links to all of my Ravelry pages and where you can find me and anybody I talk about. If I miss anything, just give me a nudge and I will take care of that. Thank you. So it's been 3 weeks since my last confession, and it's been a busy 3 weeks. I think just getting back to normal. Work's been busy, and I've been doing a lot of secret squirrel knitting for designs that are coming up. So I just have 2 FOs today, a pile of whips, some design chat, and then sorry, there's a phone call coming through. I'm going to ignore it. I think it'll just go to voicemail. I didn't turn my phone to airplane mode today. Got a little bit of spinning, some acquisitions and chat at the end. All right. Thank you for all of your comments last time. Yes, I am feeling much better. I appreciate all of the well wishes. Lots of you have also had the same miserable virus, and thankfully back to normal. Our son got it. Him and his girlfriend both got it quite late, so we had to delay his birthday dinner out because he wasn't well last week before, I forget. Anywho, let's get on to some knitting, shall we? There will be chat and ramble all the way through. I will try and keep most of it to the acquisitions and chat section at the end. Everything will be time-stamped, so if there's a section you don't want to watch, you can just skip along to something else. There have been quite a few new followers and subscribers in the last few weeks, so I thought I'd just give you a quick hello if you're new to me. As I said, I live on the east coast of Canada, just outside of Moncton, New Brunswick. I've lived here for 25 years now. Before that, Brad was in the Navy, so we traveled around a little bit. My husband, Brad, and I live in our home alone. We are happily empty nesters. We have 2 children. My son, Zach, who is just turned 34. Oh, my word. And our daughter, Samantha, Sam. So sometimes you will hear mention of them and their spouses, partners, as I'm gift knitting or talking about life chat. What else? I run a small craft winery here, so I love to sip and talk about wine. It's my job, but also a lovely way to de-stress and relax with some knitting at the end of the day. What else? That's it. I love to knit. I love to come here and talk about all of my yarny, fibery love and enthusiasm, because living in a house of 2, Brad gets tired of hearing about it. So being able to come here and chat for an hour ish about all of the things I've been working on and what I'm dreaming of, and, you know, plans, things that have gone awry. I've got some of that happening today as well, because knitting, sometimes things happen in our knitting. Okay, let's do FOs. FOs. I've got two. They're both pairs of socks. So the first pair I will show you is the finished Wicked socks. This is the Alphaba color from Area 51. I brought Area 51. Whoa, hang on. There is a Canadian self-striping dyer out on in the west, in the prairies, I think, somewhere. So this was the colorway Alphaba. If you were here last time or last couple times, you will have seen my Glinda's Potion socks. So what I'm doing is I'm making Sam and I a matching pair of Wicked socks. So hers are a little bit smaller than mine, but I'm going to put them both on the same blockers. So if you were here last time, you'll remember I screwed up my Glinda's Potion socks by making the leg too long and I didn't have enough yarn. So I had to rip the cuff back or cut the cuff off and reknit it the other direction. So I had enough yarn to finish the foot of the second sock. When will I learn? Well, this time I learned. I just did one little stripe from the self-striping. I did gray Filcolana Arvetta for the cuff, heels and toes. And I got a matching Sam has a smaller foot than me, but fundamentally they are the same. And I had a tiny nugget left, and I think it just hit the floor. Hang on. Yes, it did. And I just bumped you. Hold please, I'm going to grab that nugget. Of course, it rolled under the cart I'm using to hold my show notes. So I had this little nugget left of about 3 grams, I think I weighed it at. So winner, winner, chicken dinner. I did get the 2 socks without running out of yarn. So Sam will have one of the Alphaba and one of the Glinda's Potions, and I will have the same for when the Wicked movie comes out in November, the second part. We are big musical theater fans. We went to see Wicked live in 2023, and yeah. So I'm not showing these on social media, on Instagram at all, because Sam is on my Instagram and she will see them. So you haven't seen much of these other than here on the podcast, because she doesn't watch the podcast. All right, I'll start throwing stuff on the floor, but I need to save these blockers. Actually, I'll just put those socks there and have a little sip. So the next finished object is my pair of Wintry Woods socks that I was working on last time from the Full Moon Fibres sock blank. And I have quite a bit left over. Hang on. Let me get myself organized here. So I weighed the leftovers of this blank this morning. So this is a single sock blank called Crypt Keeper. And if you haven't been here before and never used a sock blank, you get this lovely springy yarn and you pull it off the sock blank as you knit it. And you get a really interesting dispersal of the colors. So this was 115 grams of their 80-20 solar sock, I do believe, base. Yes, it was a solar sock, 80-20. And it started out at 115 grams. I have 43 grams left. So contrast heels, toes, cuffs, worked toe up. Again, I will do a pair of shorties in this sometime. For right now, I'm folding it up, putting it in my stash, and I will, when I need something fun, because it was super fun to knit. So these have just come off the blocking mats. So they're both quite different. This was the first one because I had more of the greeny teal kind of robin's egg colors. And then we start to get into the purples and pinks and darker shots. So this pattern is knit toe up. It is one of my patterns. that if it's having a huge resurgence right now, thank you so much to Leanne from the Nitty Stew, #ToeUpSquad. Leanne does hers without the texture from the pattern. I did put the texture in. You're not really going to see too much of it because the yarn is so busy. But I wanted to do it anyway because vanilla socks aren't really my jam. So this just has stands of pine trees running up with broken garter stitch panels. And you work it from toe up. Start increasing for your gusset to get to your heel, German short row heel turn, up to a gusset as you a heel flap as you decrease out all these gusset stitches. Up the leg, and I recommend a Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off. And I'm just going to show you because I know a lot of people always say that bind off flares. There's no flare in that. And I will tell you the little trick and the tip that I put in my pattern is just knit it your regular tension. A lot of people when they're doing that, they leave it super loose thinking they need to. This is very stretchy as it is. I've done it my regular tension. A Jenny's Surprisingly Stretchy Bind Off has an extra loop. You do a yarn over in between and it just gives you a little bit of extra stretch. So I don't put a lot of extra yarn in that loop just to make sure that this doesn't flare. It's kind of academic because when you put the sock on, it's not going to flare anyway unless you have very narrow legs. I have zero experience of that. I have rather chunky calves. But yeah. So this toe up pattern, if you have never done a toe up pattern or you have done a toe up sock using a short row heel or an afterthought heel and not been happy with the fit, try this one. This with the built-in gusset, I have a high instep, wide foot, and I don't like the fit of short row or afterthought heels without quite a bit of modification. My preference is still and always going to be a heel flap and gusset. So being able to do it toe up, I have a formula for measurements for where to start the heel. So you know where to start your gussets. Walk you through lots of videos. Leanne does a much better job of marketing this pattern and explaining it than I do. So I will link Leanne the Nitty Stew in the description box down below. But Wintry Woods toe up, really enjoyed this knit. Did it quite quickly. Yeah, very, very enjoyable. Put these sock blockers because I'm going to need them later. Okay. Just need my mouth to catch up with my brain. Let's go move on to whips. Boy, I'm being noisy today. Sorry about that. I am going to start with a problem knit. I have a couple this episode. My Laya by Isabel Kramer. I started this last April for my birthday, which is the end of April. So this is almost a year old whip. I showed you last time I was working on the sleeves and I said, I really need to try this on. So I put things on barber cord. I've got barber cord all over the place. Needles, some of the needles are out, some of the needles are in. I put it on and it is too small. So I took it off and it's been crumpled up in the naughty corner since not long after I talked to you last time because I am unsure where to go from here. My first thought was I would pull it back to sleeve separation and cast on some more stitches in here and give myself a little more space. I don't think that's going to give me enough space for the fit that I want. And then my thought was maybe I'll pull it back to the lace and put some increases in the bottom there. I think, I hate to say it out loud, my lovely knitting friends who are going to Knit City Montreal picked this pattern because I had this garment half done. We're doing a group project so we can be at Knit City Montreal and be one of those groups that get to wear the same garment and have pictures taken and just have fun. It's fun to do a group project with your friends. And it feels not, I don't know. Pulling it all the way back to the beginning and reknitting it is probably the best, or pulling it back to here, because I don't like the neckline fit is great. It's just from the neckline down, there's a problem. Yeah. So I'm still pondering, as you can see. I've had quite a bit of work knitting to do, so I haven't had time to get to it. Knit City Montreal is the middle of May 16th to 18th. I do have time to reknit it if I prioritize it with design projects that are coming up. I do have time. It's knit helical. After the lace, it's been knit helical knitting, which involves lovely Brad holding one ball, me holding the other, and then us unwinding, winding up cakes and unwinding one round, wind up, one round, wind up. So it's a 2-person project. It's not the most fun thing to do in the world, but the reality is there is no point continuing with this for it to fit me in Montreal. I don't usually, no. Weight has been an issue for me pretty much all of my life, and I go up, I go down, I go up, I go down. Right now, I've been in an up. I'm hoping to be going in a down, but not in time for Montreal, so I am going to have to. Yeah. That's where we're at. Disappointed, frustrated at myself for this. So, as I said, it's been in the naughty corner because it's holding a whole bunch of feelings for me right now. The other thing was I have other sweater quantities of this silk and linen. Do I just cast on with a new color and start from scratch? And maybe leave this for when I do come back into a down phase, as in I inevitably will. My weight is never stable. I can't think of any point in my adult life that I haven't been either losing weight or gaining weight. And I know this is problematic for a lot of us, and I don't usually talk about this because I want to be here fitting garments to my body. But letting a garment sit for almost a year and then realizing how bad the fit is a bit of a wake-up call. Anyway, as you can see, this has feelings attached to it, and I'm not sure what to do with A, the garment, and B, the feelings. We're going to move on now. Because I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's stay on the modifying garments trend, because I have had Samantha's Seaway pullover has been returned to me. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to insert a little video that I took when I got it back to show you what the problems are, and then I'm going to come back and show you what I've done to fix them. So apparently I don't have a video, I just took this picture. So you can see the sleeve on the left, the ribbing is very stretched out, and the ribbing on the bottom is wavy and wobbly, same at the neckband. Okay, so this is my first time working with Barocco Remix of any kind. There is a Barocco Remix and a Barocco Remix Light. It is 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% linen, no, 10% silk, and 9% linen. The feel of this, it feels very cottony and sweatshirty, and I thought this would be a good yarn, and I think it still will be. I'm hoping the changes that I've made. So I've been gifted another sweater quantity of this from somebody from one of my local knit nights. Was going to knit a sweater and said that she never will, and asked if I wanted it. So I have four more skeins of this, which I was going to talk to you about in acquisitions, and now I don't have to. Okay, so let's start with the bottom ribbing, which is where I started. I don't know if you remember when I was knitting that, if you were around, it was 4 inches of 1x1 ribbing. I was knitting this on 4mm needles for the body and 3.7mm needles for the ribbing. I was off gauge because this yarn is classed as a DK weight yarn, but it doesn't knit, or for me, it hasn't swatched or knit as a DK weight yarn. I had to change the gauge in the pattern and then adjust sizing and do sweater math. What I have done to hopefully reduce the flare on this ribbing at the bottom, I have knitted on a 3.25mm needle. And instead of doing the lovely sewn tubular bind off, I've just done a regular cast off in ribbing. So knit 1, purl 1, pass the knit stitch over all the way across, which gives this kind of line, a finished line, instead of the kind of rollover edge that you get with the sewn bind off. But the sewn bind off was obviously too stretchy to hold this fabric together. This is a much firmer bind off, which hopefully will hold this ribbing in place. So I've reknit the 1x1 ribbing, 4 inches of it. I love my daughter. I love my daughter. I really do love my daughter. It was also, the sleeves were quite short. I took a picture when Sam was here visiting. I had her put it on and take a picture so I could see how much longer I needed to knit the sleeve. So I put a stitch marker in here. This is how much. So I unraveled the Italian sewn bind off, unraveled the ribbing, and then picked up the stitches. And then I've knit this much more from this stitch marker, which is difficult to see. There, I put it on my face. I've knit another 2.5 inches, done a rapid decrease, and then done the 1x1 ribbing again on the 3.25mm needle. Sam was finding that the sleeve cuff had really stretched out. There weren't many decreases. It was still quite a wide cuff. And I think that's how the designer wanted it to be. But this yarn was just flopping all over the place. And she was just finding it annoying when she was working on a keyboard. So as I said, I've added 2.5 inches from here to here. I've redone the ribbing and bound off the same way with the knit 1, purl 1, so this gives a snugger fit. I am working on the second sleeve right now. I'm doing it magic loop because I decreased from 72 stitches to 50. I did a rapid decrease from 72 to 50. And I was working on the smaller circumference, the 9-inch circs, and I was still finding I found I was just stretching the stitches. So I decided to come back to magic loop for this. And I have to count the rows that I've done here to make sure they match, but I'm getting close, I guess, right there. So Sam will be visiting again or dropping by in a week and a half, I think. So I will definitely have this done. I will get some pictures of her wearing it. As far as reblocking, I don't think I'm going to reblock the whole thing because I've got there's new yarn in this and each sleeve. The ribbing at the bottom wasn't new yarn. I used the yarn I'd already knit with. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it out on the blocking mats. I'm going to spray it. I don't need to pin it. Nothing's flipping or nothing needs to be shaped. I just want to make sure it's been blocked just to even up any of the using the old yarn versus new yarn. Because I added extra length to the sleeve, I am back to using a ball. I'm not knitting with the original yarn. I'm not re-knitting anymore. I'm using original yarn. So I think I'll probably just spray block, from here to here on the sleeves and the ribbing at the bottom, I'll just lay it flat and do that. So you won't see this. Hopefully you won't see this again. If it flares out again, we're just going to call it done. And it's either an around the house thing or it's going in the garbage. Oh, actually, I actually also did the same thing. So it has quite a deep neckband for the ribbing. And that you can see, can you see how much it's stretched out? I had also bound this off with a tubular, an Italian sewn. So she said she liked the fit of the neck. I thought it was looking a bit wobbly. So what I did is I just took the bind off out and did the knit one, purl one, like cast off in pattern. Just to try and contain the wobbliness in the neck. And to me, it looks a little tidier. Again, we'll have to see when she tries it on. This may be another little micro adjustment, but I'd like her to live with it like this and see how it lays and how it works for her. What this means for the future of me knitting that gray sweater quantity, because I was thinking, it'd be great to do, I've got some cream that I didn't use. I got that blue from a D-stash with a cream. So now I have 4 balls of this gray and I still have 1 ball of the cream. And I thought it'd be really fun to do a colorwork sweater for her. The reason that this is good, commercial yarn, she's good with her hand washing, but I just thought this would be fun to make life easier. And otherwise, I don't know if I definitely wouldn't knit this gray for me. Gray is tricky for me these days. If I'm not wearing lipstick, I feel like I disappear. Yeah, so I need her to wear this a whole lot more before I even think about casting this on for her. I don't know what this could be otherwise. Any success? I know that it's a super popular yarn. So any successes for you knitting with this Barocco remix or Remix Light? I've heard about it a lot on other podcasts. I'm not sure I've ever heard about it stretching out this much. So I don't know if I just had the wrong needle size or it is just the function of the sewn bind off. Anyway, so I'm going to throw that gray into the basket with the other 3 balls because we're not going to talk about it anymore. Let us, a more fun project. This is I haven't shown you any of my other bags, but this is from Michelle's Creations. She is a New Brunswick maker who I will get to see in a week and a half at Fiddlehead Fibre Festival. She doesn't have a website, but you can follow her on Facebook, I believe, and I think she sells there and in local shops. But I thought it was the perfect project bag for this project. So this is my Murano Squares cowl. I keep wanting to call it Murano Tiles, and I don't know why. So I haven't done a ton on this, but I have done a few more repeats. So this is a mosaic slip stitch that gets stitched up at the back. It is knit flat. I'm using an old Americo as the navy blue, and my hand spun is the pink. So this hand spun was spun up from gifted rolags from Kirsty from the Wool and Wishes podcast when I met up with her in September 2023 at the Southern Wool Show. And some pink that I hand dyed, and then I've paired it with this deep dark Americo navy, which is discontinued, so we won't talk about that. And I'm getting very close to, I think, knitting straight for a while. So this from the schematic, so this straight bit here is where it will get mattress stitched. So this is the bit that goes around my neck. And it doesn't give you a finished measurement, it just says to put it around your neck and stop when you feel comfortable. So it's overlapping about 1 inch in the back. So I'm probably maybe do 1 more repeat. I'm not sure if I'm keeping this or gifting it. But yeah, I've got in the rhythm. I'm not really looking at the pattern very much these days. The edges, I'm just fudging and they're looking fine. So Yeah, so this is the way I'm knitting it, but this is the way it's worn. It is very pretty, quite striking. So that's just humming along in the background. And when I just feel like not knitting on a sock, I pick it up and do a couple repeats. Another one that's chugging along in the background in my MOQ bags. Maybe my friend Donna. Donna also doesn't have a website, but if you're in the Maritimes, she is at quite a lot of the local shows. This is my Pebble Beach shawl. I'm knitting it in this really pretty, surprisingly similar to the last pink, Evie Knits silk linen. It's a heavy lace weight, 150 grams for 691 meters. So, I have done this Pebble Beach pattern before. I talked about it as far as it's my most worn shawl because it's so light and airy and easy to wear. That one I did a large. I had 800 meters, I do believe, on that yarn, which ironically was also an Evie Knits. And I decided to cast on the medium for this one, knowing that I would have to modify it and throw some extra repeats in there. And I wasn't paying attention, and I should have put more repeats of this with the eyelets less frequently for the top, but I didn't, and I started putting the eyelets more frequently in, and I've added extra repeats in there. What that means is my stitch count is off compared to the pattern, but I have been keeping track, so I should be able to, because it'll have the same number of repeats, so not the same number, it'll have the repeats in the same mathematical equation, so it should work at the end. Yeah, so Helen Stewart, Curious Handmade, who this pattern is by if I haven't said, she does a line by line, so you can check off each line. I don't do my patterns on paper. I prefer knitting my patterns digitally off of my Google Drive. I don't have Knit Companion, but maybe that might be a way forward. So I am just adding in extra rounds, but at some point I am going to have to suck it up and count all of the stitches on the needle and see where I'm at, and then figure out how to transition to the next section in the pattern. You can see from the picture I will have put up, or I'll put up again, it has the eyelets more spread apart and then close together, and there's kind of a transition, then it goes to the bottom kind of border. I still have quite a bit of yarn left. I had weighed this, but I need to weigh it again. Back to the pattern. Helen puts in, when you're at 35%, 65%, every 5% she marks the row round that you're at to be at that percentage. So I know how much yarn I had at 115 grams. So when I need to do a little math and weigh this and figure out where I am in the pattern and where I want to start the transition to that final section. Yeah. So I have done a few repeats on this, but not many, because I need to count all the stitches, and I haven't felt like doing that. Because the lace pattern is so predictable, I haven't put in stitch markers, because it's every, here it was every more frequent stitches, less frequent stitches, and up here, obviously, we're just doing eyelets and knit two togethers and yarn overs. And so my favorite way, I don't like counting this many stitches. So what I'll do is I'll count in chunks of 50. I'll put a stitch marker, 50 stitch marker, 50 stitch marker. If I try to count all the way across, I will second guess myself. I will get interrupted. I will get distracted, and I have to start back from the beginning. If I get distracted in a set of 50, then I just need to go back to the beginning of that chunk of 50 and recount it, because this 50, and this 50 are going to be fine. It's just this 50 that I've screwed up on somehow. So that, I don't know if that's helpful at all. If it's something like this where you don't use stitch markers because they're not necessary, that when you do have to count your stitches, you can just put stitch markers in as you go and then take them out as soon as you've got your count. So as I said, that's chugging along in the background. I said when I cast this on, it wasn't going to be a fast knit. This is a product knit for me. It's not a process knit. Not that I'm not enjoying it, but lace weight yarn at a super loose gauge is not my happy place anymore. It used to be. I used to love knitting shawls. I think we all knit. If you've been on the internet knitting for more than 10 years, you've probably got shawls upon shawls upon shawls. I know I do. But I want this one. So let us go with a joyful new project before I go to another tale of woe. I had a pile of project bags on the bed in the spare room where I record. That's my yarn cave, my craft room. I had a pile of project bags. Some of them were ones that I just hadn't taken the leftover yarn out and put the needles away and put the bag away. They were just sitting there waiting for me to do something with. And other ones were sitting there with yarn ready for me to cast on project. They were things I run across when I'm grabbing other projects and think, ooh, those would look good together. And I put them in a bag with the thought that I'll get to it eventually. So one day last week, can't remember when, I was having a little tidy up in here and tackled those bags. So I have 3 still left. One of them is my woolens and nosh leftovers from Advent. One of them is yarn from a design that I ripped out because it wasn't working. And one of them is my Kiss Kiss tubes for afterthought heels that need to happen. So, and then another one was this one, which was a project ready to go. This is a bag from lovely Stephanie at the Creative Knitter from her Let's Stay Home collection from 2022, I do believe. And I had put in here, let me grab everything. This is Bee Balm from Ginger Snap. Another Canadian dyer from out west. This was a Grandma's Garden collection that they did. Kim and Colin are the proprietors of Ginger Snap, and they did a Grandma's Garden collection last spring, and I had bought a few colors. So I had 2 cakes wound separately, which is abnormal for me, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I remembered I did a pair of my Put a Little Love in Your Heart socks in this, slightly modified, but yeah, I divided it into 2 balls. It has something to do with that pattern, and I can't remember why. It may come to me in a blinding flash of lightning. Was I knitting them 2 at a time? Normally when I knit 2 at a time, which is why I'm slightly baffled by this. Normally when I knit 2 at a time, I use the button trick. I will link it, I never remember which side, a video up here that if you want to knit from the inside strand and the outside strand, you can put a button on the 2 threads and it stops things from getting tangled. So I'll put that video tutorial up here if you're interested in having a look. But I had 2 little balls of this Bee Balm wound up, and I have this Drops Fable, which I believe is apple green. The colorway is 112, but I'm pretty sure Ravelry says it's apple green. I had a part skein of this Drops Fable. So I decided to cast on another toe-up sock. Because if you've been here for a while, you know I have a habit of casting on bottom-down socks with smaller amounts of yarn and running out because I overestimate the amount of yarn I need. So toe-up. So I have 2 toe-up patterns out in the world right now. Wintry Woods, which I already showed you, and Dune Grass. So this, I'm going to put a picture up because this yarn doesn't necessarily do the pattern justice again. So Dune Grass was inspired by the waving beach grasses at my favorite place to be, at the dunes at Bucktush in New Brunswick. And it's actually that one, but hard to see from here, obviously. So it has, oh, it just ran away from my brain. I'm going to put it on the screen. Stitch, which I had never done before this pattern, and I love it. But it makes the little seed pod heads of the traditional dune grass. Can I grab that? It'd be much easier to show you this way. There we go. And this is also using ginger snap yarn. But so we're making these little seed pods, seed heads on the grass. Toe up. I haven't knit this pattern since I designed it in 2023, I do believe. So even though this lovely stitch pattern isn't really visible on this very busy bee balm, it's so fun to knit because I love the texture and the ribbing. So I'm doing it anyway. If you've been around for a while, you know vanilla is not really my favorite thing to knit in a sock. I get easily distracted and end up on Instagram for way too much time. So I'm doing the dune grass pattern on this bee balm with the apple green as contrast toes and heels for sure. We'll have to see how long I want to do it. I think I'm knitting these as a gift. So yeah, very fun. Kind of had to put them down because I'm knitting I'm knitting other socks that have deadlines. So this one kind of is just simmering. I think I did all of that in one day when I cast it on, just because I was really enjoying it. No, second last, I guess. My Musselburgh hat. This is being housed in a cute little drawstring bag from Yellow Petal Handmade. Love Penelope's bags. She is an East Coast maker in Nova Scotia. So this is my Musselburgh hat that I have showed you a couple of times. I don't like vanilla knitting, but it has a place. It has a time and a place. I took this to knit night with me. I took a couple of things to knit night with me, and they involved too much concentration to be able to chat and enjoy everybody's company. So I switched to my Musselburgh hat. So the top color is Cami Jo Knits in Sand Viper, and this is Rose Hill. I believe it's a discontinued Christmas colorway, Winter Wonderland, I do believe. Guess what? I got home from knit night and went, inserts where your favorite swear word here. I am not going to have enough yarn to finish this. Bleep, 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 bleep. And so I shoved it back in the bag, and I haven't touched it since. Denial. And I'm a good 2.5 inches at least to the decreases. So I'm kind of folded it in half just to kind of go, okay, well, how close am I? I'm not close enough. There's no way this is going to do it. If I just had the decreases, maybe, no. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put needles in the last row of the Sand Viper, put a needle in all the way around, pick up the right leg of every stitch all the way around, and I'm going to rip back this green. And then I'm going to let it percolate and think about its misbehavior and pick another color out of my stash to pair with this tan color. I do the size medium for, I wasn't sure if this was going to be a gift or for me. This color led me to believe me. This color was like, meh. So I have lots of other options. But I need to rip this back and maybe weigh it. The needles are going to weigh something. So I need to weigh the needles, then put the needles in, then peel the green back, then weigh it, then subtract the weight of the needles. And maybe that will give me some kind of an idea of how much I'm actually going to need for this. I've only ever done one 2-color Musselburgh before, and it turned out great. And I had leftover yarn. And I have leftover yarn of the Sand Viper. because I was knitting. So I stopped and then put the green on, and here we are. So this has also been getting ignored for the last 2 weeks because I was a little pissed off with it. The last thing that isn't design that I've been knitting on in this very fun, I've still got the tag on it because fun, Love It Amsterdam bag that was gifted to me from my friend Manon, La Violette Knits. It's just fun. And I don't have a bag this shape, so I thought I would just throw some DK yarn in here, leftover DK yarn, and knit. I am knitting some class samples for my Afterthought heel class that I'm teaching at Fiddlehead Fibre Festival. I'll give you all the details about that a little later on, but I'm doing an Afterthought and Forethought heel class at Fiddlehead Fibre Festival. So I need to knit up a whole bunch of these so that we can do what needs to be done in class. This one is ready to have the heel cut into it. The one I'm currently working on, just on a 9-inch circular, is going to be put on hold with waste yarn to do a Forethought heel. And I may just knit up a couple extras of these just in case people don't get their homework done in time. We'll have to see how time allows. I'm a week and a half out. I may be overestimating what I can do. I wanted to do it in DK yarn versus, I have lots of tubes already cranked and pre-knit in fingering weight yarn. I wanted to do it in DK so that when I'm giving the instructions, it's a lot easier to see, to pick up. It's also faster for the students to knit their homework because nobody likes homework, and I wanted to keep it quite simple. So they just have to knit 2 of these, or actually 1.5, because we're going to knit the other half of this one in class and the heel. But just, like I said, I knit a Stockholm slipover in this DK yarn. It's from Yarn Indulgences. It was just leftover. She had two or three skeins of it, so I just snaffled it up. Yeah, a Stockholm slipover that no longer fits me, but will fit me again sometime, I'm sure, as I do this. So that is all I've been knitting on, except for design chat, which is where we're going next. So design chat, I have one design in testing right now. I'm not going to show you today. It's for Knit City Montreal. Today we're going to focus on the breast cancer fundraiser sock that is going to be released this Friday, April 4th. I have not shown this anywhere yet. You are going to get the first sneak peek of this new sock. I am behind knitting my samples because I didn't get the yarn until last week. So I only have one sock finished and the second sock is on the needles. But I want to show you. I'm quite enamored with this. This is the Booble socks, or will be socks. This is a Booble sock. We are using little mini baubles to make little boobs, little nipples. I'll tell you about the name in a little bit. I'll just keep this is cuff down with a contrast hem, contrast heel, contrast toe. This is a new 80-20 sock blend from Yarn Indulgences called Stomp Sock. I will show you the yarn. The color's going funny. This is a really pretty salmony, pinky neon, and it's blowing out. I'll put a picture in here to show you the real color because it's doing funny things to my face as well. Yeah, so we're only doing the boobles on the leg, and then we're just using the rib texture down the foot. So it's comfortable to put in shoes or boots or your Birkenstocks or however you wear your socks. One of my testers did go all the way down because she finds her boots are looser, so she wasn't worried about the boobles kind of pushing in. So I'm calling them boobles. They're baubles. They're little mini baubles. Leanne, Sit, Knit, and Read on Instagram. I think I got it right today. this went to testing weeks ago. And she, in the Instagram chat group, she put a message in going, oh my goodness, I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. It's too late. I probably shouldn't have been doing this. I looked at the MB, make bobble instruction, and read make booble. I'm like, stop. You don't even have to test knit this sock. Booble, these were going to be a different name, which I've now archived for another year. This instantly became the Booble socks. When I talk about them, we're making boobles. We're not making baubles. It's been giving us such joy, such childish adolescent joy in the test group. Yeah, it's a fun knit. These are super easy to make. There's a tutorial linked in the pattern. It's just you're doing a quick little increase and then you're just doing a quick little decrease right there. You're not carrying it on over different rows. So it's very easy to do. The ribbing texture gives it a great fit. Yeah, so this is this year's 2025's breast cancer fundraiser. And as I said, it'll be for sale on Friday, April 4th. The fundraising element will be happening April 4th to April 12th, culminating at the end of Saturday, April 12th, and probably partially into Sunday the 13th, because I never close it on time. Let me grab a sip of wine. I am also going to include in the fundraising period my Tits Up and Titty Gaga socks. I'll put pictures of them in here as well. These are the socks from 2023 and 2024 that we did fundraising for. I did this last year. I opened them both up when Titty Gaga went on sale, and it boosted the donation amount. So if you're new to me, new to my sock patterns, they only sell for $5 Canadian. And for that period, April 4th to April 12th/13th, every single penny of those $5 will be donated to the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation for research and treatment. So, what else do I need to tell you about this? Oh, yes. I have this in my acquisition bag. Deborah from Yarn Indulgences very kindly donated a set. So this is the details on the Stomp sock. So this sock base is an 80/20. It is plump. Yeah, it's a plump fingering at 400 yards, 386 meters. And the mini is 25 grams. So Deborah did a custom label for the boobles. And I want to give this away. So we haven't had a giftaway on this channel for quite a while because I had some people not get back to me and it kind of made me go, wah, wah. But this deserves a giftaway. So in the comments below, just say boobs, boob or boobs. Will give me something to search if you're interested in winning this yarn. I'll put a few other goodies in together. I'll vacuum seal it. I will ship around the world. Not a problem. And I will get this. I'll be recording next, probably around Easter. I may do a separate vlog for Fiddlehead Fibre Festival. It depends how much footage that I have. But the winner for this will be announced on episode 49, middle of April 2025. And if you would like to win a set of the Booble Sock Set, I can't say it without smiling. Booble. Use the word boob, boobs down below in your comment. I'll use a random comment picker on YouTube. I'll pick a winner and I will announce it in the middle of April when I record episode 49. I will not announce it anywhere else. So far, we've been keeping the spammers away lately. So let's hope that trend continues. And I would love to send this set out for you. And yeah. Is that all I have to say about that design chat? That looks like it for design chat. So I've been holding this in my Top Sail Canvas bag from lovely Sadie. The yarn is almost the same color as the handle. I bought this at Fiddlehead Fibre Festival last year to match the pouch. Sadie was selling these last year for fundraiser for breast cancer as well. Oh, I should tell you, Deborah Yarn Indulgences will have this yarn in the shop on Friday, April 4th. She is donating $5 from every set to Breast Cancer Foundation as well, the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. She will be taking, processing sales through the weekend, and she'll ship everything out on Monday, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. It goes for sale Friday the 4th. She'll start mailing it the following Monday. So if you're interested in getting your own set, you can also help, and there'll be a donation made to breast cancer there as well. It's a strange time of year for breast cancer fundraiser. I know October is normally the pink month, but this all started, if you aren't or haven't been here before, the Tits Up pattern right there came about because the last season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel came out in April of 2023. One of my favorite shows on Prime Video. It's very potty mouth, stand-up comedian, and their favorite saying, the two main characters, is tits up, support each other, shoulders back, out into the world, do the best you can. And I like to, when I launch my patterns, I like to do a fundraiser. So with the name, and so breast cancer just automatically came in. And then people asked if I was going to be doing another boob themed sock. So now it's become a yearly tradition in April. I know it's an odd time, but here's where we're at. So I am knitting. I've got the second sock just on the needle. I kind of put a hold on it because I needed to record the tutorial for the Boobles, which I did this morning. As I said, these are super easy to make. I'm trying something new in this pattern. I am putting QR codes to link the tutorials. If you are working on paper, it's difficult to use the hyperlinks that were in the pattern before. So hopefully using the QR code, you can just use your camera on your phone and take a picture, or just open your camera app and it will take you click and it'll take you to the YouTube page for the tutorial. If you have any feedback on that, once you get the pattern, I am more than happy to hear it, whether it works for you or not, whether you'd rather have the hyperlink. Yeah, I'm open to opinions. It's the first pattern I put it in. I've put it into the second pattern that's in testing now, but that's not written in stone. So let me know how you feel about QR codes for tutorials on your patterns. And do you prefer paper or digital for your patterns? As I said, I'm always digital because I don't have a printer at home that works, and I can just use my tablet or my phone to knit off of. Okay. Boobles, ramble. Let's go to acquisitions and chat. No, I'm lying. Don't go to acquisitions and chat. Let's do a teeny tiny spinning section. So spinning's been kind of weird since I was here last, and I've managed to I've got some plied yarn here that is still moist, so I've hung it off of something and now it's tangled. So I was here last and I said that I was plying the Bramble Ridge beautiful neon fiber. I have finished that, and that is what has gotten tangled where I put it. Okay. Whew. So it is still damp here, and I don't know. It's really blowing out. The colors are a little more saturated than that in real life. Hang on. I may end up taking a picture of this and putting it in. It's coming up a little more pastel than it is. It's a little more neon. So I finished plying this on Saturday. I washed it yesterday, Sunday, and I hung it to dry, and it's just not quite there yet. So this was, that's not helping either. This is Bramble Ridge in their 80/20 superwash merino and nylon fiber. It is a 3-ply 2-knit socks. I will show you some pictures of the process as it in fluff and as singles. This was a lovely gift from my friend Lori, because she's heard me say before that I love this Superwash Merino nylon blend. So she gifted me this fiber. I started spinning it at, I believe I started at Fiddlehead, or at the Winter Gathering. I was spinning this. And people were just loving looking at it because it's just so joyful. As I said, I'll put some pictures up because I don't think my camera and this gloomy old lighting is doing it any favors today. So that's finished. I would normally already have something on my Nano, my little e-spinner, but I had a problem. I run my Nano with a switch to a battery pack so I can spin wherever I am. And all of a sudden, it just stopped working. The battery was at 90-something%. It went to 100, then went to 0. I charged it back up thinking it was a battery problem. Not a battery problem. Plugged the wheel back in and it kept. So we thought maybe it was, Brad did some testing and I ordered a new circuit board from lovely Morris at Dreaming Robots. He gives excellent support. We've been emailing back and forth trying to troubleshoot the issue. We finally tracked it down to the cord, that the barrel cord that goes from the USB into the wheel. There was something wrong with it. So I found a replacement, kind of. Brad did some jerry rigging for me and got it working. So he just got it working yesterday, Sunday. And I didn't have time to pick something new from this obnoxious pile of fiber. I didn't have time to pick a new fiber to spin. So maybe this week, maybe not. We'll have to see. With the Booble pattern launching this week, I've got a busy week. Plus, Fiddlehead Fiber Festival is the weekend after. So that's it for spinning. A finished yarn, not quite dry, and no new spinning on because my Nano went. Okay. Acquisitions and chat. Now we're doing acquisitions chat. I feel like my color's still gone weird, but we're going for it. We're almost done. Tracey from Tracey's Rolling Yarn Shop came into town yesterday, Sunday. She was in Fredericton on Saturday, and she came to Moncton yesterday. She is based out of Nova Scotia. I'll put a picture in here of the trailer, and at the end I have some video footage of me trying to film how much yarn she gets in that trailer. Is unbelievable. So I went looking for yarn for knitted knockers, an approved yarn. I'm down to my last ball of the Kobu, and I would like something different. So that's what I went for. I was looking for a bamboo cotton that I could look on the Knitted Knockers website on their approved list to see if it would work. And unfortunately, there wasn't anything. So I, of course, grabbed some Drops Fable in this pretty shades of blue. This is man sock territory for me. It's coming up a little purpley on the screen, but it's blues. And the color is 522. So that will go into the man sock stash. That may actually be my next pair of man socks, to be honest. I gotta see. I've only done one pair so far. So I need to, that will go into stash for now. My friend Lori, who gifted me the fiber, is in Fredericton. We were talking, she had been to Tracey's Rolling Yarn Shop on the Saturday, and I said, ooh, what did you buy? And she says, I bought Drops Soft Tweed to make a vest, slipover. And I thought, ooh, I've never worked with that yarn. So I had a quick look. I only got 4 balls. They're 50-gram balls. I don't have a pattern in mind. I've only done the Stockholm slipover before, which is I think a worsted gauge. This is DK. I could probably still make it work. So as I said, I've never knit with this tweed before. I decided to go with the purple because it had fun blips of blue in there. I was also looking at a really pretty fuchsia, like dark wine pink color, not fuchsia, dark pink bordering on wine, but not brown like this, more pinky tones. But it had red tweedy naps, which are less my vibe. So I ended up with the purple. This is color 15. It's Tweed Classic, super fine alpaca and merino wool. 50% wool, 25% alpaca, 25% viscose, 50 grams for 130 meters, 142 yards. So it's firmly DK. So I have 4 of these, which will go into my stash. I had no business buying them, but supporting small local businesses. And I was getting ready to walk out, and then my brain clicked on. Lauren and Sandra came to our winter gathering. They are from Nova Scotia, not far across the border, but they're from Nova Scotia. And Lauren and I were talking spinning, and they came to local knit night, and Lauren was telling me about, and there's been other people who told me about Lantern Moon cables. I was talking about my Knit Pro, Knitter's Pride cables being quite springy and quite full of memory. And I had several of you mention in the comments Lantern Moon. And then Lauren mentioned that Tracey from Tracey's Rolling Yarn Shop stocked the Lantern Moon cables. So I was getting ready to walk out of the trailer yesterday, and I was looking, and she has the needles behind her cache set up. I went, oh my God, the cables. So these Lantern Moon cables, I'm going to show you, I've already opened the box. Sam's Seaway sweater, the Magic Loop sleeve, is using one of these. So these are ChowGoo style cables, but they're not ChowGoo cables. They are metal, they're plastic coated metal, no memory cables, interchangeable, with a swiveling connection to your needle. And you get 2 in a box, and they fit Knitter's Pride, Knit Pro, and I also believe Knit Picks, because I think Knit Picks gets their needles private labeled from Knitter's Pride, Knit Pro. So they come in a box of 2, and also in the box, I'd heard about this on Knit Chat Cafe with Kelly and Noelle. You get this tightening tool. Hang on. So instead of the little T-pins, you've got this more substantial tightening tool. And this was incredibly reasonably priced. Also comes with ends to screw on. Yeah, so you get 2 cables, this in the box, with 360-degree swiveling tips. Just drop that. And so I got 32-inch and 24-inch cables. And the price, $13 for 2 cables and the tightening tool. I'll be buying more of these. I have so many of the Knit Pro cables though, but I think this is going to win me over. I said I have it on one of them on a project already. So I said I almost walked out. Thank you to everybody who's recommended them. And a special thank you to Lauren, because she picked up hers at Tracey's Rolling Yarn Shop a couple of weeks ago and messaged me right away and said, they're excellent, get them. So I did. I listened to you. So that is what I purchased yesterday, and that is it, other than the Barocco Remix light that I showed you earlier. That's all that's come into my house. And I don't think I had bought yarn in quite a while. I don't know if I can say that. No, I was going to say that's the first thing I bought this new year. It isn't. I bought the Wicked theme yarns from Area 51. But so far, so good. However, April cometh. April is my birthday month. We'll be at Fiddlehead Fibre Festival in April, so I may be bad, but good, but bad. Fiddlehead Fibre Festival, I've mentioned it numerous times. I will have them linked below. It is a 2-day festival that runs the afternoon and evening of Friday, April 11th, and during the day on Saturday, April 12th. There's a lovely selection of maritime vendors, great selection of classes. I will be teaching my previously mentioned Afterthought Forethought class. Lucianne from Front Porch Knitter is doing different cast-on methods for different projects, which I think is a brilliant idea for a class. I don't know if I have time to take it. I need to look at what time she is. Manon La Violette Knit is doing steeking. She's going to be teaching how to steek and do a cup cozy, but help you with steeking for cardigans in the future if you're interested. There is using hand carding tools. There is weaving. There is spindle spinning. If I'm forgetting something, I apologize, but I will have them linked below. If you're in the area, I highly recommend coming to check us out. It's about an hour and a half north of Fredericton, New Brunswick. So for us, it's just about a 3.5 hour drive, 3 hours and 20 minutes-ish. All really good highways. So we'll be heading up on Friday, April 11th. I'll be helping out Deborah Yarn Indulgences in her booth. But it's going to be a great, fun social weekend. A lot of our knitting friends from around the area will be converging there, and we're going to be having great evenings together and, knit and chats, and can't wait. Can't wait to spend time with some of my favorite people. The Shediac Festival that I mentioned before, Atlantic Yarn Fibre, which I'm involved with, will be having a 1-day Sunday yarn show on June 15th in beautiful Shediac, New Brunswick. I will have the website linked below and I'll put it on the screen. Tickets are now for sale. We'll be announcing our vendor lineup soon. And we are very excited for this and hope it will lead us to bigger, I was about to say bigger and better, but this is going to be amazing. Bigger things in the future. So again, if you're in the area and are looking for a fun day trip or want to spend the night, you can spend Saturday or Sunday night in Shediac. We can give you hotel recommendations. We don't have any deals with hotels this year because it's just a 1-day event. But if you're coming from further afield and would like to spend the night, you can let me know and I'll give you some recommendations. Oh, I'm looking at, last time I was here, I showed you my ranunculus that had a hole in it. I have not touched it. I moved it from my podcasting basket. I moved it out of my podcasting basket and over to the spare bed because I haven't touched it. I haven't done that repair. It will be simple to do. I just need to do it. I probably need to move it to my knitting spot in the living room because the problem is it's in here and I don't see it, so I forget about it. That, my lovelies, is all that I have on my list. As I said, it's been busy work week, day job work and knit work. Weather's been kind of good, but then kind of crappy as well. And today is definitely falling into the crappy range. As I said, I'm heading out this afternoon. I've got errands to run. I'm donating blood this afternoon and then back home into my cozies and keep on knitting that second Booble sock because it's on a deadline. I got to get it knit up and get them blocked and get photography done for the pattern ready to launch on Friday. I'll hop in here and do a little community post on Friday to remind you that it's for sale if you're interested and with the Ravelry link. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and spending time. Look at that. I've timed it perfectly. I have a sip of this lovely wine left. I wish you much happy knitting and joy with your projects and playing with yarn. And if I get to see you in real life, please come and say hello. There's somebody who knows a friend of mine who has seen me at different things and will not come up and say hello to me. If you ever see me anywhere out in the world, I am always happy to talk about knitting. I'm usually slightly gobsmacked that you recognize me and know who I am. But I am always happy to talk about yarn. So if you see me anywhere, whether it's a yarn show or not, please come and say hello. I would love to chat. Probably slightly awkwardly. I put this on Instagram. I saw this on Instagram earlier this week and I shared it on my stories. And so many people commented, yeah, me too, me too, me too. Do we gravitate towards knitting and crochet and spinning and these yarny things because we are quite weird with other people, but then we find our knitting people and then we're good. We have our social, I can be social because everybody else is as weird as me. Does that make sense? This made me laugh. I'm going to end it here before I get any more rambly. Happy knitting, friends. Happy sipping, and I will see you in 3 weeks.